In this class, we will conclude Chapter 17 on the impact of advances in technology. The conclusion is composed with three topics that we will cover. First, the big data. Second, the blockchain technology. And the final topic is cybersecurity. These topics are more advanced in terms of technology development as well as for the professional accountants. So let's discuss with the big data first. For big data, it is a term for a collection of data which is so large that it becomes difficult to store and process using traditional databases and data processing applications. In our previous class, we discussed about the database, accounting packages, and right now we talk about big data. It is a step forward on database or traditional database because the data collected in a big data consists of different varieties as well as with huge volume. And for traditional databases and data processing applications, they cannot handle it. So the big data includes more than just simply financial information and can involve other organizational data, both external and internal, which is often unstructured. We will come back to talk about what is unstructured data. For this unstructured data, these terms we mentioned in different classes as well. Some examples of data that inputs into big data systems include social network traffic, web server logs, streamed audio or content, banking transactions, web page histories and content, government documentations, and financial market data. So right now, we talk about the differences between structured data and unstructured data. In the big data, it consists both structured and unstructured data. For structured data, it is highly organized and formatted, so it's easily researchable in relational databases. So you can consider structured data is the conventional data or conventional data sets, including numbers or tables with a well-structured format. But for unstructured data, there's no predefined format or organization, making it much more difficult to collect, process, and analyze. Example of unstructured data is like image, videos, even for voice. For those data, it's quite difficult to collect and process those images data, for example, or how to analyze an image. These are examples of unstructured data. So real-world example here for structured data example versus unstructured data is the date and time of an email, which is structured data. Is easily searchable, like the date, time of the email. And for unstructured data of an email is the content itself. It's possible for the email content with text messages, images, or even for voice recording. So let's go through what are the features of big data. In the previous slides that I shared with you some of the differences for between big data and the traditional databases, like the volume, like the, say for example, like the varieties of the data. And here I already mentioned two characteristics. So there's 3 V's of big data. Let's go through them. First, the volume. As compared to traditional databases, the volume is much bigger for big data because it's for reliability. More data, it should be more reliable. And velocity is about the timeliness, whether the data is like real time or streamlining, or just historical data in the past few months, whatever. It's about the velocity of those data coming into the big data. And the third V is variety, is for relevance. Whether the data, the variety of data maybe consists of data sets, maybe consisting of images, whether they are relevant to the topic. So here is a table showing the relationship of 3 V's. There's a volume, velocity, and variety. So let's go through the 3 V's one by one. For volume, massive quantities of data. That means it refers to the significant amount of data that organization needs to store and process. Wide range of sources such as social media, hits on website or survey results. So it records not only transactions, maybe in terabytes of records, including those images in social media. And the third characteristic of volume here is the main benefit from it. The volume is additional reliability it gives data analysts. So it is more reliable to cross-reference or cross-check with different data, like from the images to the numbers, or from the numbers to the text to the voice recording. There's a more because the huge volume in the big data, it helps to provide the confidence to the data analysts about the reliability of data. And the next V is velocity. It refers to the rates at which data is received, stored, and used. So maybe it's by batch, whether it's real time, or in a stream, or near time. And many transactions today are conducted and recorded in real time. So, for example, here in the chart here, like the real time data fit into the big data is the modern ways for many corporations or companies to work. Variety. It refers to the multitude of types of data that are available for analysis, whether they are structured, unstructured, or semi-structured. And with the advance of communication technology, the forms data comes in have significantly broadened, especially unstructured data. In the past, it cannot be imagined, or it couldn't be imagined, the images or pictures can be put or can be stored in the database. But right now, with the technology in big data, it is possible to do it. And data is likely to change on a regular basis with the variety. So the big data, first of all, come from numerous sources, like from the browsers, from social media as mentioned, and the varieties can be structured, unstructured, and semi-structured. And there's one more, another V. At the current date, some information technologists think another V should be described or explained as well for the big data. This V is veracity. So what does that mean? Veracity is truthfulness. It is vital for the organization gathers data that is accurate and reliable, the data. Failure to do so will make analysis meaningless. So you have to trust the source of your data, which is unbiased. The information can show the true picture. That means the truthfulness of data should be one of the features in the big data. So what's the benefits of big data? What's the differences between big data and database we've just mentioned? So what are the additional benefits of big data? Because it's quite costly to build a big data. To the organization, the benefits of big data include, first, driving innovation by reducing the time taken to answer the key business questions and therefore make decisions. So it shortens the time of collecting data and reduce and answer the key business question. So the management can make decision faster than before. And if your company or organization have the big data with you, you gain competitive advantage by identifying trends or information that has not been identified by your competitors. It's true because in a traditional way, like the database, we have to hire some analyst by checking the numbers or data from a database in order to convert the data into useful information and prepare the reports for the senior management to make the decisions. But for big data, because it can identify the trends not through any analyst and provide the reports to the management, it's faster than the traditional way to do it. And big data improve productivity by identifying waste and efficiency or identifying improvements to working procedures. So this benefit is similar to the second point, but it's for internal parts because for gaining a competitive advantage, maybe identifying the trends, it helps the sales, but for identifying the waste area or efficiency, it's about the internal improvements that helps to improve the productivity as well as the optimizing the cost within the organization. So for your accountant, what's the relationship between big data and accountancy and audit? How can it improve the effectiveness of your work? So let's check. For management accounting, big data is contributing to the development of effective management control system and budgeting processes. With the help of big data, the management accountant right now is much more easy to grab from the data from the insights provided in the big data that help them to identify any improvement area such as internal control and also to improve the overall budgeting processes in order to avoid any efficiency. For financial accounting, the big data creates many opportunities for accountants to gain greater insight, predict future outcomes, and automate non-routine tasks. In the past, the routine tasks can be automated by database, for example, or any other accountancy packages. But with big data, it can help to automate non-routine tasks, for example, to identify any trends, especially for prediction or forecasting on future. And reporting, big data right now can help to improve the quality of accounting standards with the aim of continuing to provide useful information to those with reporting responsibility in our ever-changing global economy. So in other words, the big data can improve the quality of reports. Another key players here is the auditor or the auditor. Data analysis right now can be enhanced. The quality of audit engagements, such as testing entire populations of audit relevance data and enabling higher quality of relevant audit evidence to be collected. So here, the audit can be benefited by the big data, such as the big data can enable faster and more comprehensive identification of business risk and fraud occurrences. Its benefits for both internal audit and external audit. We just finished the discussion about the big data and how it helps the professional accountants or auditors in their works. So let's move on to talk about the blockchain technology. A blockchain technology or blockchain has been described as a decentralized, distributed, and public digital ledger that is used to record transactions across many computers. so that the record cannot be altered retroactively without the alteration of all subsequent blocks and the consensus of the network. Initially, it's quite hard to understand what is blockchain. Even I provide a definition here. So I will share with you in my later discussion about the exact operations of blockchain technology. Here is an example or the illustration. First, assume you are the person right now here. You would like to prepare a transaction. So you are a node in a network. A node in the network, it raises transaction requests. So you would like to prepare the transaction, you request it, and then the transaction is represented as a block here. So you prepare the transaction, and the transaction become a block in the chain. And this block is broadcast to all nodes of the network. That means it's not in a central server or your own physical computer. This block or this transaction right now is broadcast to all nodes of the network. So in the network, all participants here, you can imagine it's a computer or server, is being informed. There's a transactions request. And this transaction right now is validated by all the nodes in the network. In other words, they give the confirmation about the transaction to be approved. So subsequently, this block transaction is represented as a block. So this block right now is added to the existing blockchain. Because in the chain, here is the blockchain. In the chain, there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Assuming you are the fourth block in the chain. So it's added in the chain here after the verification or the validation by the nodes in the network. So after that, the transaction is then completed. So in this example, the blockchain is quite simple and easily understood. For here, the blockchain, the key features of blockchain is what? Is immutability. And every node, you can check the graph I showed you. Every node on the network has a copy of the digital ledger. To add a transaction, every node needs to check its validity. And next, decentralized. There's no central server or any governing authority looking after the framework. And enhanced security. No one can change any characteristics of the network because it's preset here, and any transactions need to be added to the block. The transactions need to be validated by all nodes in the network, so it enhances the security. And consensus algorithms. Every blockchain thrives because of the consensus algorithm. So here, because of all nodes in the network need to confirm or validate, then it means these consensus algorithms help to ensure the blockchain thrives. And distributed ledgers. The ledger on the network is maintained by all other users. So it's important that by all other users maintain the blockchain on the system to ensure a better outcome. So that no one or no individual in the network can change or can modify the data. And faster settlement means that the blockchain offers a faster settlement compared to the traditional banking system because there's no centralized or governing body or governing authority. So for blockchain, if say for example, if you are one of the nodes in the network, then you identified this block is already in the blockchain that is stored in your location. So you can make a faster settlement because in the traditional banking system, you have raised the request, sent the request to the governing authority, and after the governing authority validate it and then send back the instructions to you. So it takes time to do it, but right now it can speed up the settlement. And all in all, the main benefit, what is the main benefit for the blockchain? It's about the securities. It's always the main benefit of blockchain, because as compared to the traditional systems, this blockchain technology is an open or public technology, and the traditional systems have been closed systems. So the modifications to data have been carried out by just one party, like in the governing authority, is fine. It's a closed system. But for the blockchain technology, it is a public systems. Every nodes in the network, they have validate the transactions. So it helps to provide a security of those data in the network. It helps to eliminate the risk of modification by one party. So blockchain provides an effective control mechanism aimed at addressing such cybersecurity risk. We'll talk about cybersecurity later on, and here the solution is blockchain technology, because even one node, the data in one node in the network attacked by the cyber attacker, but the other nodes, okay, they cannot attack at the same time for all the nodes in the network. So the data security can be ensured by this blockchain technology in this aspect. And it is a record-keeping mechanism that is open or public, as it is a form of distributed ledger. As we share to you, it has been described as a form of collective bookkeeping. So let's now move on. What's the relevance of blockchain technology and accountancy? First, reducing the cost and of maintaining and reconciling ledgers. Second, the blockchain technology provides absolute certainty over the ownership and history of assets, the existence of obligations, and the measurement of amounts owed to a business and owned by the business. So it's quite clear on the transaction history of the assets, for example, and the ownership of it. And it's not easy for any particular or single party to alter or change it. And the third advantage or benefit to accounting profession is freeing up time to allow staff to concentrate on other responsibilities such as planning, valuation, reporting, etc., rather than record keeping. Because in the past, there's an accountant to take the records of the financial data, and there's a guy or internal control procedures to validate or to reconcile the accounting data to make sure and to check whether the data is changed or turned by any third parties, for example. And right now, with the blockchain technology, the accountants right now is no need to do the record keeping and to review the numbers on a daily basis or routine basis. He can release their time to do any other more valuable jobs like planning, valuation, or reporting. So the last topic on chapter 17 is cybersecurity. And we just mentioned or discussed blockchain technology. The advantage of blockchain technology or the benefit is security. So let's see what activities that affects the cybersecurity here. So let's define what is cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is the protection of internet-connected systems, including hardware, software, and data from cyber attacks. So for cybersecurity, it's not just the hardware. You have to put your computer in a safe place. No, it's not only just putting your computer in a safe place, but it's also talking about the software, whether your software or data are protected. There's no other or no third party can attack your software, your system, and also your data is highly protected and not leaked out to any third party for illegal use. And cyber attack is malicious and deliberate attempts by an individual or organization to breach the information systems of another individual and organization. So here is cybersecurity is more on internet connected systems. So once your computer is on the network, on the internet, then you are exposed to the risk by cyber attack. And you need to have the cybersecurity to ensure your computer, your hardware means your software, that is your operating system and other software in your computer, and data kept in your computer are well protected and from the cyber attacks. So key risks to data for cyber attacks are: if the data on an organization's computer system is accessed without authorization or damaged, lost, or stolen, it can lead to disaster. So it's quite simple and straightforward. If your organizations, imagine you are, say for example, you are a bank, and you keep your customers' information such as their names, their address, telephone numbers, as well as their deposit or loans amount in your bank. Those are highly confidential information, and if any unauthorized persons can go into your computer systems and stolen the information for illegal use, so it's a disaster, not just to the person and to the organization as a whole. And for cyber attacks, we can describe they are cyber criminals, and there are different technical methods for doing it. So let's check those cyber criminals here. The first method is malware. It is a short form for malicious software. It is software designed to cause damage to the single computer, server, or computer network. Worms, viruses, or trojans are all varieties of malware. And it can be distinguished from one another by the means by which they reproduce and spread. These attacks may render a computer or network inoperable, for example, or grant the attacker access so that they can control the system remotely. One kind of malware is to stop the user to open the file or turn on the hardware. And on this type of malware, it's not just a damage to an individual. Sometimes it can also damage to the organization as a whole. And next, phishing. It's a technique by which cyber criminals craft emails to fool a target into taking some harmful action. The recipient might be tracked into downloading malware that is disguised as an important document. So here, the relationship between malware and phishing is, for malware, sometimes it's quite hard for the cyber attacker to go into your computer, because if there's no connection or there's no way for them to go into your computer. But by phishing, it's possible to do it by opening the door for them, because say for example, you got an email from an unknown person, for example, and you open the email and then to click any links within the email, and when you click the link, then you download the malware into your computer system. Then the cyber attackers can go into your computer and to steal your data or information in your computer. So phishing is highly linked with malware right now. Denial of service attacks, a brute force method to try stop an online service from working properly. For example, attackers might send so much traffic to a website or so many requests to a database that it overwhelms the system's ability to function, making it unavailable to anybody. So it's about denial of service attack. Just a huge volume coming to the website. Then your website cannot support it. So the website is not available for anybody. Then the cyber attackers, the objective of cyber attackers achieved. Man-in-the-middle attacks, a method by which attackers manage to interpose themselves secretly between the user and a web service that they are trying to access. For example, an attacker might set up a Wi-Fi network with a login screen designed to mimic a hotel network. So it's like this. It's a fake network, for example. So once a user log in with the fake network, because the same or very similar login screen in this hotel Wi-Fi network by the cyber attackers. So once the user log in into it, the attacker can harvest any information that user sends, including passwords. For example, if you turn on your apps for hotel apps and you input your username and also input your password, then the cyber attackers get this information, so they can do the same to log in into your accounts and process and for any other criminal activities they want to do it. So let's talk about one example to illustrate the cyber attack. It's an example about the hotel giant Marriott International. So what happened? On November 2018, Marriott International announced that the records of up to 500 million customers had been compromised in what may be one of the largest data breaches in history. And this global chain revealed that hackers accessed to guest reservation databases at Marriott-owned Starwood hotels as early as 2014. So in other words, this example, the Marriott International, which is a very large international hotel chains, and it has a database for its guests. So the information in the database was hacked by a hacker, and the hacker can access the database by getting the information. And the company said it received an alert 2 months ago before it made the announcement that warned of an attempt by an unauthorized party to access the Starwood guest reservation database in the United States. And the discovery prompted further investigation. So after 2 months, it announces the cyber attack to the guest database of the hotel group with those unauthorized persons. So these hackers, what did the hacker do for the Marriott Hotel? The hacker copied and secured the data with encryption. So the hacker is very smart. They stole the data and they encrypt the data. So even for the police or any other bodies, it's quite difficult for them to open the file to see what information or what data the hackers got, because it's encrypted. And the hotel group thinks the data exposed in the leak, including names of their guests, mailing address, phone number, email address, passport number, date of birth, gender, arrival and departure information, reservation date, and any communication preferences. So it's a disaster for the Marriott in such a cyber attack. So cybersecurity is very important, and the protection of IT systems and software within business is another topic that every senior management, including professional accountants, need to be concerned. And there are 6 potential threats to IT system and software within business. So let's name them. First, natural disaster. Example like fire, flood. Malfunction, like of computer hardware or software. Viruses, a small program that once introduced into the system spreads extensively. So in other words, like the viruses, this is just a small program, but it affects the operation of your system. And it can spread extensively in the network. Hackers, deliberate access to systems by unauthorized persons. Electronic eavesdropping, for example, users accessing private information not intended for them. And human errors. So all these 6 potential threats are at your risk or your company's or organization risk on IT system and software. So let's see any solution for them. For natural disaster like fire, flood, you can set some fire procedures and locations. So you can put the fire alarms, extinguishers, fire doors, staff training, and insurance cover. And also you can consider about your location, your physical environments in order to make sure they are safe for your IT equipment. And last but not the least, for natural disaster is to backup. Okay, backup procedures is always the best way to protect the data. Data should be backed up on a regular basis to allow recovery. Malfunction. So like computer hardware or software, they cannot work properly. Then for your network design, you have to think about your network design to cope with periods of high volumes. So ensure your software or your website will not be crashed with the high volume of traffic coming in, so it can still function and to work properly. Apart from it, you also need to back up of your website data or your server information as well. Viruses, we mentioned it is a small program that spreads extensively, affects the whole computer system. And the virus software you can buy in the market, it should be run and updated regularly to protect the company data as well as the system. And regular audits to check for unauthorized software. So some companies would like to check their staff computer or laptop to ensure there's no unauthorized software installed in their computer. Hackers. Because hackers, they are deliberate access to systems. So you can set up some firewalls, or we just install some firewall software in order to protect our system. It helps to protect from authorized access to the system from the internet. And you can also set the password and usernames for your user or for your staff using the IT equipment in the company in order to avoid any hackers go direct into the system. Electronic eavesdropping. The solution includes data encryption. That means the data is scrambled prior to transmission and is recovered in a readable format once transmitted. So in other words, there's some software how to they can encrypt the data into a way that no one can easily read those data unless you have the same software to encrypt the data. And also you can set the password and usernames for sending and receiving emails. Human errors, like training. To avoid human errors, okay, training is the most important and effective way to do it. So adequate staff training and operating procedures can help to avoid or minimize human errors in the organization. So here are the 6 solutions to 6 different potential threats to an organization about the IT system or the cybersecurity. So let's check some questions and to refresh your understanding and memory as well. The first question is about Sarah. Sarah has recently started looking at ways of gathering big data for her business. She is concerned that some of the sources of data she has chosen are unreliable and may therefore lead her to inaccurate conclusions. Which of Gartner's features may be missing from Sarah's big data? So big data, there's a 4 V's here: variety, velocity, veracity, and volume. So if you have a good memory of what we discussed in this class, then we talk about volume, velocity, variety, and one more is the veracity. It's about truthfulness. So after this class, I think you can choose which answer is the most appropriate to answer this question. The next question: which of the following is a common example of a phishing attack? We have 4 statements. 5, honestly, it's 3 statements. One is all of the above. On these 3 statements, first, you receive an email from an acquaintance who you are rarely in contact with that contains only a web link. So whether this email is valid or not valid. And you got an email that appears to be from your bank, asking you to enter your bank account number and password, but the web address looks unfamiliar. And third, you receive a text message claiming that you won a contest and asking you to click on the link. So which one or which is the correct answer for this question? So remember, phishing, the definition is a technique by which cyber criminals craft emails or message to fool a target into taking some harmful action. So the recipient might be tricked into downloading malware that is disguised as an important document. So if you remember the definition of phishing, then you can answer which examples here are relevant to phishing.